What a game of test match cricket. What a day, I should say, because if you're in Kanpur, I really sympathize with you guys because the first 3 days, just 35 overs. This day for 85 overs, 437 runs and 18 wickets. If that isn't entertaining, I don't know what is. I have Somesh Nikhil and Nikhil Popa to dissect day 4 and potentially see if India can actually still pocket the WTC points in this one. My name is Avanish. So I'll come to you first and foremost because I know you were absolutely loving Rohit Sharma, but we'll pick about him and we'll speak about a lot of the other things. But how do you sum up day 4 for starters?
Fascinating. I mean, this test match was turning into a one that probably would have been remembered for all the wrong reasons. But in just 30 odd overs, this Indian team has made it into something which those who probably would be at the venue and people like us who watch it on the telly would be like, oh, I was there. We watched it. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. What a day.
And it just comes down to that, Nikhil, the fact that India was so bold. We talk about baseball, but gamball has really taken shape, hasn't it?
Well, they're just telling what England aims to do. India is actually doing it. Again, you can talk about the opposition and whatnot, but eventually it's about the intent. And I think they scored 66, if I'm not wrong, in the first 6. I don't think they've scored that many in power play in the last 2 T20 World Cups. So it speaks volumes about how incredible that effort was, because for you to have fastest 50, fastest 100, fastest 150 in the history of the game in one innings, it is maddening. And kudos to everybody into that management. And I mean, dude, the first ball that Rohit Sharma faced, only the third opener to hit a 6 of the first ball. If that doesn't signify intent, then I don't know what does. So very, very happy. And it feels very proud to see from Dominica to Kanpur, we've come a long way as a test side.
No, indeed. And the record which India broke in terms of the fastest 50, I don't know if you guys remember that England-West Indies test in Nottingham. They got that in 4.2 overs. India were absolutely rollicking and rattling along to get their 50. And like Nick spoke about, not just the fastest 50, 100, 115, all of that, but generally some cracking things through in terms of display. I mean, we saw that miss opportunity of Virat Kohli being run out as well. I've never seen something like that. Missing the stumps from that close. I'm like, what the hell's happened? And the last time a batter hit consecutive 6s of his 2 first balls. Was it Sachin Tendulkar against Nathan Lyon in 2013 when he walked out of bat? I can cast my mind back to that. I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comments as well. But point is, no, indeed. So let's just start chronologically because that's the best way to, of course, unpack what's gone on day 4, guys. First of all, Bangladesh getting to whatever they got, and were you disappointed? Yet again, given the situation was not something that any of the teams are thinking is a result-oriented game. So were you disappointed how Bangladesh kind of put their game about with the bat in hand?
I mean, not really, because one thing was very clear that Mominol is not used to playing with the tail. Because I just felt that he should have probably gone harder. Because when Mahdi got out, I think the tailenders were exposed a lot, and even when Mominol was on strike, he was not trying to play the style of cricket that probably that occasion warranted. But on the other hand, when you have Bumrah bowling in that rhythm, even on day 1 he was bowling brilliantly, just that he didn't get any wickets. So can't do a lot. But I think this game is not about Bangladesh anymore. And you said potentially, in my opinion, I'll be surprised if India do not win tomorrow, because there is no scenario unless and until there is rain and there are other factors because of which the game does not is played for at least 95 overs. I don't see a scenario where India doesn't win this.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully the rain stays away. I think the forecast is good in Kanpur as well. Plenty of comments coming through, and understandably so. Vignesh Ram, good to see you. By playing baseball, we lost 9 wickets, setting a score of 300. We could have scored about 450 if we had no baseball. It's okay after all, after they just got 250 plus. Again, it was the intent, and Rohit Sharma made that very clear. It's good to see Jaiswal get amongst the runs as well. And you relax, keep your comments coming through. Very, very good to hear from you in the comments as well. So 107 for 3, 35 overs. And Som just mentioned it over there. Not really fussed about how Bangladesh went about it, because Bumrah, who had his tail up, I think 3 for 50, doesn't do justice about how well he bowled. And it was shared throughout the bowlers. One man ended up getting a landmark, Knicks, your CSK man, Ravindra Jadeja, 300 wickets for him. Just a quick one on Jadeja and how much he's been a great servant for India in Test cricket.
I mean, if we were just to talk about his bowling contributions, even then we have a lot to say. So that he's added a lot more value with the bat to be in a very elite list of doing 300 wickets and the number of runs it has got. And at that good average, it just tells you how dependable these two guys have been for India. So I think Jadeja for a long time was in those shadows, but since the last few years now, you can see him standing tall as the actual best all-rounder that there is in Test cricket, not just the overhyped ones, but actual Test cricket all-rounder with performance at home and away. So that is something that I think will also be very handy when India go to Australia and England, because that's where he starts, because he can bat so well. So I still think there is a role for him to play in this series. There is a 4-4 coming, hopefully. And it's one of the sad things that when you are part of such a great lineup, it's difficult to get wickets in bunches because everybody is so good, the wickets will be distributed. So hopefully tomorrow is the day where he gets those 4-4s.
Yeah, you said 4-4s. Anirudh Suresh, who's an Australian fan, sweating about the BGT already, saying Jadeja might get an 8-4 given the surface in Kanpur. But look, he's not got an 8-4, I think, in his life. He's got a 7-4, which came last year against Australia in the BGT. So let's see how India really clean up Bangladesh, if they do so at all. So I'm coming back to you, because generally when Bangladesh were bowled out for 235, did you actually think India will play the way that they played? Because they had nothing to lose. But did that surprise you as well as an Indian cricket fan?
I don't know. I mean, after the day's play, I'm more inclined to say I was not. But having said that, I mean, I didn't expect them to do it from the first over itself. Jaiswal just thrashed like 3 boundaries in the first over, if I remember correctly. But more important than that, Rohit batted as if he was like batting for 30 overs, and mind you, he was facing the bowler who's playing the first test of the series. It's not like Rohit knew that by ye ball पिछले match में कैसी bowling डाला था, क्या किया था. But then overall, slightly surprised, but not very surprised. But good to see that them adopting this approach. Probably I would have expected him to go at 6 and over or something, but 10 and over, like 110.1 over, तो ये तो भाई expect नहीं किया था. But amazing. I mean, kudos to the team.
Yeah, Nick, I was just wondering if the WTC actually wasn't still created and this was just a normal India-Bangladesh test match. Do you think India would have actually kind of done that, or they would have just probably stat padded, dare I say?
Well, that's an interesting debate to have, because at this point of time, given how the day started, you wanted India to get a result out of this, and the only way to do that was to try and force the game. So it is a very interesting thing, because it's led to the difference of pitches as well. It is because WTC exists is why you see the kind of surfaces at times in different parts of the world. So happy that they have done that. Now again, it's us being very, very perfectionist that now do this when WTC is not at stake as well, and then you can go on and say that we are walking the talk about wanting to play to win. So this was as perfect a day can be for any side in terms of who wants to walk the talk. So kudos to Rohit and India for their efforts today, and hopefully they'll do that irrespective of their spot in the WTC table.
I feel they would. I feel they would have played the same way irrespective of WTC as well. Because see, look at the situation. India's not going to lose this test. India was never going to lose this test. So if that result is out of the equation, if you actually have to play for the draw, you can do it anytime you want. So might as well just try and go for the win. And they have the batters for it. That's the crucial point. I mean, if we would have had a few players from a year ago in the middle order, probably India wouldn't have been they wouldn't have been in the situation to do this anyway. But I think the management knew that by batters who can play at 8 and over, so why not go for it?
Just to add to that, there are a few individuals who we talk about in this lineup as well. But they did their job today.
Actually, we can talk about right now. To be honest, I mean, in the last 2 IPL seasons, only once has KL Rahul scored a 50 plus at an equal strike rate as he did today. So
Yeah, KL things, just KL things. But it just makes you think, because Sri Lanka are doing so well in the WTC themselves. So that's kind of slightly putting pressure on India, even though Sri Lanka have tough assignments ahead, away to South Africa. They host Australia at home as well. So the math suggested before the Kanpur test, India still needed about 4 or 5 good wins across the next 8-9 tests. So I think they'll eventually get there. But if they pull this one out of the hat, it'll be absolutely brilliant. If you guys joining us right now on cricket.com, please like and subscribe. We're about 90 away from 95K, which is a massive milestone for us. So please, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe right away. If you guys are, of course, joining us right now, what have you missed in Kanpur? We'll quickly reflect that for you in the match summary. India, of course, getting Bangladesh all out 233. They were 107 for 3 overnight, thanks to some dismal weather. And then eventually India declaring. Siraj was the only guy who didn't bat. We enjoyed Akash Deep as well. It went that deep in terms of India's first innings, and then India getting 2 wickets just before stumps on day 4. So it all kind of boils down to how day 5 will be approached by this Indian team. I just want to quickly take a couple of comments right now and ask a couple of you guys a trivia, which I want to give out. More than 400 runs in a day and also 18 wickets. How often this has happened before? It's a good question, Pranav Anand. In fact, I'll ask Som and Nix. I'll try to stump them right now. In India, in a test match, has there been more runs scored in a single day? The answer is yes. Can you tell me that one match? It happened in 2009. What's your best bet?
I think you made it easy. Probably that India-Sri Lanka game. Sehwag 290.
Sehwag went mad.
Yeah.
470 runs that day. That's quite crazy. I mean, the others in the list, India, Australia, Mohali 2013, day 3, I think it was. It was India, Sri Lanka 2009 in Kanpur, 15 years ago, day 1. And more stuff like this available on cricket.com and our stats garage. So go check that out. Avanish, it was great to see you in Doc Spot. None of my appreciation for Rohit Sharma and what he's been conjuring in terms of not just an intent merchant. Because look, if Rohit didn't set the ball going, none of these guys would have really flourished. I think that was made clear by Rohit, not Gambhir. Let's call it row ball than gamble. Is that fair to say, Som? Because we've seen Rohit do this under Dravid as well.
True, yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, he as a leader, it's ultimately it's his neck on the line, so he has to take the call. And like I said, you need the individuals as well. Rohit, see, the good thing about Rohit is that he walks the talk. He's not that captain that he's sending someone else to go and hit for him. He is doing it himself. Not thinking too much about कि भाई मेरा average क्या है, क्या doesn't matter. And second, he has the personnel to do it. So might as well do it. That's the bottom line. But see, one big difference is, and I don't want to use any of the balls, baseball or whatever it is, because there is a difference. The point is, this Indian team can play the other game as well. They can actually bat out 90 overs while scoring 180 odd in the day if need be. So when you have a team and a bunch of individuals who can do both, then you are a proper comprehensive cricket team, and that's what India have become over the past few years.
Yeah, and I think that's why we've been so keen to make a third WTC final, because look down that whole 11, and I think there's just absolute stars. Whether Ashwin Jadeja turned up in the first test, Bumrah today, and of course Rohit and Jaiswal have been conjuring it up with a bat. Keep your comments coming through. We're here for a bit longer. Vignesh Ram saying game will be over if good Siraj shows up. He is a spree wicket taker. Bro's capable of taking a 5 over just 3 overs. He didn't bowl a single over prior to stumps. I think they gave it to Akashdeep, Ashwin and Bumrah. Sports fans saying would have expected a positive approach, but not this ultra aggressive approach. Full marks for the intent. And Sri Lanka Babron, you got that right. Introspect. And Damodar Banla, good to see you as always. I feel for the guys who missed today's match. The meme absolute masterpiece would be so apt. Right, so let's forecast day 5 then. How quickly will India get this done and dusted, if I can speak like that as a cocky Indian fan? Or do you think Bangladesh, even if they want to think about getting India in some pressure, what is it? 130, 140, and then Shakib, Taijul, Mehdi spins it through?
Well, they'll certainly try to do that. What I'm very interested to see is if, because right through the series you've seen Liton Das, Shakib and all being very, very positive. They wanted to play their shots and see to try and put the pressure back on India, which is a fair way to think about it. Now, it's when you execute it well, it looks great. But when you don't, it looks like, why are you playing a shot like that? Something like, I think Hassan Mahmood's dismissal was apt description for Bangladesh today. Night watchman, he's out there to save the batter, ends up getting out slogging. So I think it's just going to be the intent that the Bangladesh batters show. I'm expecting a good counter attack from the lower order because that's what they've done. Whether it's Das, Shakib, and I think Mominul will probably be the glue. That he'll probably be the guy who's like, okay, I'm holding my hand up. Let's see if others can continue to bat positively and then take a call. Bangladesh are not the ones in this position to try and force the pace. All they are going to try and do is let's try and bat as much as we can. There is no need for us to hurry. So I think the pressure and it will be the bowling changes that will decide the flow of the game for India, I feel.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, Som. I mean, this is not technically a day 5 pitch, even though we will be playing in a day 5 situation of the game. It looks pretty decent conditions to bat on. So do you think Bangladesh can just go there and set up shop, or do they think they have to show some intent to at least put India under some pressure in the 4th innings chase?
See, I think the former that you mentioned, them setting up shop and not trying to score runs, would be a recipe for disaster. I mean, the only thing that can keep India at bay is the number of runs that Bangladesh keep adding. Because see, what happens is after a point, there will be pressure on Rohit as well. Ki bhai fielding kya rakhna hai? Should I continue with attacking field or should I spread it out? So it'll then become easier for Bangladesh. I think the Nikhil mentioned about bowling changes. What I feel is I just see Ashwin just continuing bowling from one end, and it's the other end at which the changes will happen. At least till the point when Ashwin has taken care of all the lefties. That's where probably you will see Jadeja come in. But I think, see, even if Bangladesh give India a target of 150, the pressure then would be on Bangladesh. Ki, should they go for the attack based on what has happened in the first innings, or should they have an in-out field? Because even if you give 25 overs or 20 overs for India to chase on 150, they'll fancy their chances. So this is why I said early on that, I mean, in all the scenarios, it seems pretty tough for India to not win this game from here on. But yeah, I mean, it's cricket, so anything can happen.
Yeah, and it's mindful to point out that 98 overs like today will be bowled on day 5, given that the sun is out in Kanpur. Keep your comments coming through and your questions. We're here for the next 5-10 minutes. I want to speak about some of the fielding that we saw as well. But Pranav Paras, good to see you. I will take some of these comments. Hold on to your hats indeed. Right, fielding. Which catch was better then? Rohit Sharma, one-handed blinder, or Mohammad Siraj, which is also a one-handed blinder, and he made it stick. So, Nix, I'll let you go first. Did you like Rohit or Siraj's catch more?
Definitely enjoyed Rohit's catch a lot more. Siraj, yes, was good athleticism, but Rohit, great reflexes, because the reaction time for him was far lesser, is what I feel. Because that's coming down the wicket, looking to play through the offside, and this guy just, oh, 1 second, khada hai main idhar, and he just flicks it out of thin air. Absolute great. And these are moments which just spur the team on, and then you are into the game like, now I also want to take one. So of course, to each his own, but I personally enjoyed Rohit's catch a lot more.
What about you, Som? I'm sure you're going for the bias in Rohit.
I think it's more to do with the whatever amount of cricket I've played. Rohit's catch was tougher than what Siraj took, so just have to go with what was tougher.
Yeah, I agree with you in that sense, because Siraj, it was almost he made a meal of it and then eventually saved his bacon. And how Pranav Anand saying Rohit himself took 3 to 4 seconds to believe he actually taken it. Then Gill's reaction was hilarious. And just when you take those catches, even in you're playing with your friends, we see it now in international cricket, no matter how old or established, experienced cricketer you are, you all become kids, because when you're kind of messing around with the captain's hat, and if you're doing that as a KL Rahul, as a Shubman Gill, it's insane.
4 centimeters out of place and can rule you out.
Oh, that's true. I mean, dare we say Rohit catch is harder, but considering he's a better fielder than Siraj, would find it harder as well. So very close, but Rohit for me saying noodle hacks. And K saying, welcome to the chat. Today couldn't have gone better for India with the last 2 days off with the rain. We got this in the bag, unlike Man U to Spurs yesterday. Unneeded. Unneeded, Casing. I know you're a Liverpool fan. You've been joining us for a while, but hit like, because I've definitely taken your comments. Right, some of the comments and questions to take before we let Som and Nix go in this one. Plenty more live content coming up on cricket.com. By the way, let me just give you a little summation really quickly. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we did amazing Women's World Cup previews, which starts on the 3rd of October. There's amazing coverage of it going to be on the cricket.com network. We're going to be doing Monday Night Live today with Nix, and me and Akshay will be joining us in terms of all the IPL chatter. And trust me, there is a lot of it. So that will be a absolutely electric show. And not to forget, we will also be doing the Day 5 show tomorrow. Same 3 of us. Right. So, Som, I'll give you this one first from Sports Fan. Guys, do you think Akashdeep has jumped over Siraj in terms of choice of second pacer in such a short time?
I would say still equal. Tough to choose between the two, because Siraj has the experience of playing in away conditions. This will be his second Australian tour to Australia, and he was the spearhead of the attack by the time Brisbane came along. So I mean, you can't take that away. Till now, I think Akashdeep has only played one game outside Asia, and that too for India A. So even at the first class level, he doesn't have a lot of experience playing in the Sena countries. So I think it'll be a little premature to jump the gun over this debate as of now.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of with Som on this, but I just want to ask Nix really quickly, what is the USP of Akashdeep as a test bowler? Is it just purely his lengths? Because he's skiddy, he's nippy, but he's no Siraj, no Shami or Bumrah. So how do you categorize him as a test bowler, Nix?
So I think, see, with Siraj you want to get swing, and that's why he tries to go for the fuller deliveries more. With Akashdeep, he's more into that Shami mold without getting those prodigious amount of movement, so to say, of the surface. So to me, Akashdeep's control and lines, I feel, are far better for my expectations from him. So that's what I think stands Akashdeep ahead of Siraj. Also, just the fact that he's also so good against left-handed batters. We've talked in the past how badly India needed people to be better against left-handers. Siraj, I think, today also bowled very well, but it's just those. I think if I want to pick, I would probably pick Siraj for England conditions, and I'll probably pick Akashdeep for Australian conditions because hitting the deck, getting value of the seam, that's where I feel Akashdeep can be handy. But I agree with Som. They'll probably start with Siraj and then take a call on Akashdeep as a third pacer, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, good on Akashdeep for making it count, not just earlier against England, but now doing it in Bangladesh with the ball and the bat, dare I say, with those 2 sixes that we saw. Last couple of questions.
They have a practice match as well between the first and the second test. So that will be crucial for all the French players.
Yeah, is that happening in Canberra, I think? Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
I think Oval or something like that. Right, 2 more questions and we'll let these boys go. Paras looking ahead, Som and Nix, and I'll give this one to Som first. Would be great if Hardik can play a test in BGT because India can't win the WTC final without him at number 7. There's a moral police on X who will ask for his exclusion in final if he doesn't play in the big BGT. You don't have to answer this question, but again, do you see that big pace bowling all-rounder void in overseas tests still a problem for India?
It is. They tried to sort of paper over the cracks with Shardul, but I think under the new regime, Shardul has somehow lost his place. I won't be surprised if he's picked for BGT, to be honest, for no reason other than that he's the only pace bowling all-rounder of sorts. But you saw Akashdeep bat well today, man. I mean, you never know. You never know these things. But the point is, yeah, I mean, I tend to agree that India would need some Hardik sort of a player when it comes to the WTC final. But I mean, he's hardly played any red ball cricket leading up to that, right? He should be playing the BGT if that is the scenario. On the other hand, when you talk about BGT, probably Hardik is not needed because India can actually play this 11 in all 5 tests if everyone is fit and still have capable batters, bowlers, batting depth and whatnot.
Yeah, because I think with the Duleep Trophy also just happened, I think Nitish Reddy was kind of being billed as that next Hardik Pandya for India. But again, depends on how he goes about his business in the domestic scheme of things and then eventually to India. And a final one from Pranav Anand, and it's a match-related one, Nix. Is it fair to say that although the wicket is keeping low in Kanpur, it's still easier to survive than scoring runs, especially with the old ball? It's good that reverse swing came for India's 8. So do you think India will probably be more mindful of this tomorrow?
Yeah, and I also expect all of the pacers to target the stumps a lot more. We've seen that even when India were batting, that Bangladesh got enough balls to keep low, even from lengths that were slightly lines that were slightly outside the off stump. So again, as Pranav says, scoring is harder because the softer ball it gets, you don't have the pace in the wicket also. So it's, I think, a bit slow as well. So I think, which is why I said the bowling changes and the plans that India have will be very, very interesting to see. And yeah, reverse swing, I do expect it to come into play because conditions should aid that, given we also already saw that today as well.
Okay, interesting. Guys, it's been a fascinating day's play. Go check out all the written pieces of it on cricket.com. And if you guys missed out anything, do let us know. Things like this, KL Rahul spoke about it. He didn't show that much intent in the IPL, but in Test cricket, he got this today, 43 of 68 before being stumped out. My final question, guys, what was a moment that you remember day 4 for? I know Som was pissed off with certain Richard Kettleborough. But was that the moment? Was Virat Kohli not being run out a moment for you all? Or was it, again, those 2 road sixes in India's intent? So,
for me, it has to be the second over because it signaled of the things to come. By these guys are gonna go gung-ho. But yeah, I mean, it's one thing to do it, second thing to one thing to try it, and second thing to actually do it and then end the day where they actually end it. And for all the batters to sort of comply to the template that has been decided, and each and everyone played in the manner that aided the position of the team, which is so good to see.
Yeah, indeed. Prajwala, I feel bad for you because you go on and say, I regret not being able to watch the game. Even the highlights won't sum it up because I don't know how they're going to fit in 18 wickets and all those runs, but they will do something off it, Gio. Next, what was your moment of the day? And we'll end with you.
Yeah, I think Rohit Singh definitely takes the cake, but one very good honorable mention for me would be Rahim's dismissal. Bumrah bowling an off spinner to Rahim at that pace. The ball it pitched a seventh or eighth stump and then sneaked in just like that. So always in for one Bumrah specials.
Okay, super. And I think Noodleax was saying Virat's 4 or Virat's 6. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure lots of Virat fans were upset because he couldn't get another 50. But he's still, of course, going to be flying straight in that New Zealand series as well. Chaps, thank you so much for your time. It's been crisp and concise review of what's been an enthralling day for in Kanpur. More to come from us at cricket.com. MNL indeed. And like this man is already saying, Noodleax with Asant, Akshay certainly rubbing his hands for that because it's all about the IPL. Join us in what? An hour and 49 minutes. Until the next time, it's a goodbye from Som, Nix, and me at cricket.com. Cheers.